we're going to log in now to BusinessObjects. This is the BI Launchpad. So I'm going to happen to log in here as the CFO. And so you'll have different users, and because this is a full, robust platform, you can create users and groups of users, and you can create different rights associated with the users. So if I'm a consumer, my rights of what I can do may be limited intentionally, whereas if I'm a business analyst, I might be able to build my own queries and do more than just a standard consumer, and also what I have access to. So if I were an inventory manager or a distribution manager, maybe all I'll see is inventory, purchasing, and sales. I wouldn't see any of the financial related folders. So you can control access to the data as well. So the first thing we're going to do is, it had the default as this user, the CFO, the general accounting folder. So you will see some reports over here. Let's just kind of show you some reports. These happen to be some of our BI QuickLaunch reports, but also the functionality of what you can do. So if I take this income statement, actual plan, just right-click on that, you'll see some options: View, View Latest Instance, Schedule. Let's go ahead and choose View here. This is going to run the report on demand, but before it can run, it says, okay, there's parameters associated with this report. So if we go here and choose June, maybe I want to group this at a consolidated level. I can then group it by company or business unit later on if I want. What are my columns? I can actually have it fill year-to-date actuals and then all my remaining columns for the 12 months being maybe a remaining budget. I can pick a specific department or business unit if you wanted to set up some type of additional filtering. So we'll choose OK here. And so right now what it's doing, it's querying J.D. Edwards and returning back the results to the canvas. Okay, so now at that moment in time, when I hit the refresh button, based on whatever my parameters I selected, that query was rendered and returned back this data. And until I hit the refresh button again, this data will stay static. If I want to update it now, I just post an entry and want to see the results, I can hit the refresh button. It'll automatically go out there and retrieve the latest data from J.D. Edwards. So a couple things to note on this panel. We can go ahead and look page by page and see the results of the data. You can also export if you want to export this to maybe a different format, like a PDF or Excel. So other type of value for some purpose, you can do that. We can go ahead and print from here. But the other thing we can do is if we click here on this little parameters or prompt panel, we can also change these on the fly. So now if I say, well, let's take a look at, I want to run this through September, and instead of looking at our year-to-date actual remaining budget, I just want to look at my actual. And maybe instead of consolidating this up at the highest level, I want to see this group by company. Okay. So if I go ahead and choose those parameters and choose Apply, you'll see some changes here. So where these were year-to-date actuals and remaining budgets, now they're all actuals only through the period that we've selected, in this case September. So that's where we have values through September. Well, actually don't have any maybe values in September. And then we've got the remaining would be blank, the total year actual, and then you can do an average. The other thing is if we've grouped it by company and we go in and choose this little group tree, it's a quick navigation panel as well. So if we want to go look at another company, I can click on a company and get the results for that that company and so forth. So that was, again, by just choosing View, it'll run the report on the fly, give me the result. Maybe I answered the question I had, I printed it, I exported it, I just viewed it, got the what I was looking for. But when I close out of this window, nothing is saved to the report. So when I close that out, basically that's gone. If I want to regenerate the data, I can go ahead and right-click and choose View again, and then it'll actually show me, well, like it did, prompt me for the parameters. If I go down here to the consolidated report, there's actually let's have this report has already been run. And typically when it comes to a lot of these management operating statements, someone in finance typically will be responsible for running the reports, and then the managers will just come and view the report that's already been run by finance. So not every manager is out there running their own reports. So if we go ahead, but we want to see the latest running of a report that's already been run, if I just choose View Latest Instance, it'll grab the latest one that had been generated let's say in this case by finance. We can increase our zoom a little bit. Okay. So just like before, we had this group tree. So if I want to look at this company, this is a consolidated P&L, actual budget, variance, quarter to date, year to date. I've got my traditional rows. If I want to go directly to maybe a business segment like industrial, I click on that, it'll take me right to that page of the report and give me that summary, or maybe click on a specific underlying level or branch or something else. So by just navigating through the group tree, it'll take you directly to those locations of the report. And these are, you could have, we have some customers that have, 7 layers deep of this organizational hierarchy, and some only have 1 or 2 levels deep. But these are one of the reports that we do map to your row hierarchies and your drill down. We'll show you the drill down here in a second. But you can also do things like, here's a traditional P&L, more of a consolidated look. If I go over to page 3, this is now a consolidating P&L. So now we can get those business segments as maybe different columns and get our traditional rows. So you're not forced to just keep, one format within a report as well. The other thing that these reports can do is be very interactive. So if I wanted to see under labor straight time what makes up this $3.9 million, I can drill into that line of the report. It'll break it down by, in this case, market segment or something. I can drill into, let's say, industrial. It'll take me down to the business unit or branch or what have you. Okay. The other thing you can do, and we can drill all the way from that, but let me pick something that has some better sample data. If we go in here to, let's say, our corporate admin business unit, you can see here for rent expense, I'm over budget for the quarter by, $1,700, and I want to find out what's the cause of that. If I drill into that, if there were different accounts or, and if there are subledgers or something that makes up the difference, those would be listed. In this case, I've just got one account. And I'll go ahead and drill into that. You'll notice when I mouse over, it says click to view the transaction detail for rent expense. So if we click on that, it's now going to take us and pull a live drill against the general ledger, passing over the values of that time frame, that account. And again, you could have 100 million rows of data in JDE for the general ledger. Because of the way that we link to that and pull these reports, it'll be that fast. So customers with tens of millions of rows of data on their general ledger still get these drill type reports in a matter of seconds. So we actually can see here on the general ledger transaction for rent expense, Allen Supplies, there's $800 for a storage unit rental. Has a check been cut yet? Or what was the discount on that? We can go ahead and drill into that invoice detail. It'll pull up another quick report on top of the accounts payable detail. So here now we can see our AP. Here's the check number. Here's some details about the discount, what's still open on the purchase order. We can kind of drill it down to the purchase order detail. So in all these drill paths are all part of our out of box with our BI QuickLaunch for JD Edwards. So that's a way that we can navigate. I'm just going to click out some of those tabs, get back to our main report. And just like we had the other report that we showed you some interactive nature here, we could do the same thing. So if we go back to our page 1 here, what if we wanted to see this instead of quarter to date and year to date actual versus budget, but maybe we want current period and year to date year over year. Okay, so we can select that and choose apply. And you'll see here, it's automatically on the fly going to dynamically change some of our columns in our report. So these parameters can do a variety of different things. They could change the filtering of a report. They could change your grouping of the rows of a report. They could change the columns of a report. So you have the ability to build a lot of this interactive nature that really drives that self-service. So that's one of the key elements of self-service reporting in BI is interactive reporting. And I think that's kind of what we're showing you here. So we looked at the view. We looked at the view latest instance. If we go up here to, let's say, our balance sheet, and we go and say, instead of view latest instance, we can do a schedule. So this is where a user can go out there and schedule a report to run and have it saved with an instance with the data in it. So I can come back and view that at a later date. It's almost like that report run at that snapshot in time based on whatever parameters have been selected. So we look at the recurrence here. By default, it'll be now. We can also choose things like weekly, right? Pick maybe every Tuesday and Thursday we want this report to run. So you kind of set a calendar, recurring calendar, or pick your own custom calendar. I'm going to use just now for the default. If I go to my prompts, so I've got year, period, I can select those and change them. I can go in here maybe to pick company, and I'll just put in one specific company. I'll just key in. Okay, choose OK. And then if we go to formats, so before with the interactive reports, they were a crystal format, and this report does have drill down. So if we run this as a crystal report format, we can drill down from our balance sheet down to the general ledger transactions. But you can also just have it run automatically to another format, let's say like PDF. Okay, so I'll have this run and render to a PDF. If we go to destinations, we can go ahead and choose a default enterprise location, which would be this web portal. We can also go and choose email, and so we can specify who we want to be the recipient of this email. And the nice thing about, and this is now a balance sheet, most companies would be very confidential information. So one of the nice things about this is that rather than, and you can send out as an attachment, you can see here, we could send out this PDF, give it automatically generated name, or give it our own name, picking out the title, the date, the username. But you can also send something out as this viewer, which in essence will send out a URL. And so if a user doesn't have access to where this report resides inside of BusinessObjects, they'll get a message saying you don't have rights to view this report. And so one way to kind of keep sensitive reports from being sent out via email and then forwarded to the wrong person. Okay. So for now, we'll just go ahead and choose default enterprise location, but you can go and send something out to an FTP server or on your network or somebody's inbox. So there's some different options for how you can distribute the reports. So once you've gone through and selected your different pieces there, we'll hit the schedule icon, or schedule button. This is going to take us to that history screen. And so you'll see here the status says pending. And we hit refresh, it'll go to running. And when it's completed, it'll actually go to success. Okay? You mouse over to kind of tell you how long the report took to run. And then if you click on the instance time, you can go ahead and it'll open up that report right there for you. So this, and if I come back tomorrow, right? So if I didn't have this open, and I came back in tomorrow and right-click on that balance sheet and choose history, it'll take me right back to this queue of all these run reports. So a lot of companies, when it comes to financial reports, might save one report out there per month for the last 18 months or something like that, or one at the end of each year for the last 5 years. So it's a nice way to kind of keep that historical view for managers to be able to go back and see what their financial results were. The last thing we're going to do around the financial reporting here is looking at this financial reporting package. So if I right-click on this and choose View Latest Instance, this is where we've actually taken, let's say, a handful of reports and packaged them together. So we've actually got like a balance sheet, consolidated income statement, an open AP report, open AR report, income statement summary, and then it's all blended together in one PDF, or we can actually view the individual reports as their own PDFs. If I go ahead and double-click on that, this will actually open up. Let me go back here to my the table of contents, where we can go in and actually page 1, if I go back to page 1, there's actually a table of contents here, and I can navigate from that. And when I send this out, if I were to send this PDF, they would have this full PDF with a table of contents as well. And we go ahead and navigate. So if I want to go directly to the page of the consolidated income statement, it'll take me to that page of the report, or maybe my open AR report, or my open AP report. So here's how, again, it's a nice way to kind of get that package of report. And then these also can be bursted out. So let's say I've got this report that needs to be run and sent out to 12 different board members, each of them kind of responsible for maybe a different area that they look after, and so it'll just send out just their pieces, and the CFO might see everything. So you have this nice ability to kind of burst out the data as well. Okay, so that was the first thing we wanted to cover in the demo was more of a financial reporting, interactive reporting. Let's take a look at maybe the next step was more of a business